All right. Oh, did I just hear Elizabeth in my ears? Naughty Jane. Well, that's my name, by the way, Elizabeth. Yes, and it's metamorphosed into Betty. You can call me Lisa as well. Yeah, Liz. I love all the names. But now, though, I love to be called Besua. Yes, and that's my name, and I'm your queen on morning TV, alongside King Calf, your everyday star. More on that music, though, on the show later on. And it's 7:26. And we're still looking ahead to the State of the Nation address to be delivered in Parliament House by the President. We've heard from a number of you, a lot more messages coming through. We still want to hear more, exactly what those expectations are, as the President, readies himself to tell exactly what our country looks like today. Okay, we have reporters, in Parliament across country. Like we said, we're going to give you that extensive coverage, pick on the big talking points, and exactly, what those promises from the previous year, how much of that was achieved, and then, of course, looking into 2018. But let's take you straight now to the Parliament House before I introduce my guest in this segment of review. Wilberforce Asari is my colleague there. And Wilberforce, if you can hear me, you're live.
Hello, Beswa, I can hear you.
All right. So, yes, I know you're in Parliament House. What's happening there?
Well, so Beswa, here in Parliament House, I can tell you that there's a lot of energy that is gathering up here ahead of the State of the Nation address by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. From behind me, you can see that there are a lot of police officers and military officers moving around, strategizing as to how they are going to maintain security here at the Parliament House. Beyond that, inside, we are told that there's a lot of frantic efforts going on to make sure that everything is in position for this State of the Nation address, which is scheduled for sometime around 10:30 this morning. Usually, when the President is visiting Parliament, there is always a guard of honor that is mounted in his honor. Now, I can tell you that these military officers who are going to mount this guard of honor are already here. They are sitting in their vehicles across the road from where I am standing, and it appears like everything is set for this particular State of the Nation address. Beswa.
So have you seen parliamentarians trooping in already, or it's too early?
Well, so I can tell you that there are a few parliamentarians who are already here in the Parliament House. When I got here, it was the first thing I inquired from somebody that I met, and he says that there are some parliamentarians who are noted for coming to Parliament very early. And so if you look at the car park that is earmarked for the parliamentarians, you will see that there are vehicles here that obviously look like vehicles that belong to parliamentarians. And so those persons who are noted for coming very early to Parliament are already here.
And who are these persons?
Beswa.
Who are they?
Well, so unfortunately, I am unable to tell who and who are here because they arrived here before I did. And so they are already either in their offices or in the parliamentary chamber. And so I'm not able to tell the specific names as to those members of Parliament who are already here ahead of this State of the Nation address. Beswa.
Wilberforce, I mean, you have been following the President. Indeed, at his last engagement with the media, the President spoke so highly of a resounding economy. What do you think he's likely, to be big on ahead of this address?
Well, so this particular State of the Nation address comes after the budget for 2018 has been read. If you remember, last year, because it was the first of its kind for the President since he took office, the State of the Nation address came ahead of the budget. But this time round, there's already a budget that is in place. And so what I'm anticipating is that the President, for anything new that is going to come up, will have to reflect the budget that has already been presented to Parliament by the Minister of Finance. As far as the state of the nation, as it were, beyond the economics is concerned, I think that one of the most important things that people are looking forward to hearing from the president has to do with the security of the interior. Over the last 1 year, there has been several issues of unrest and security threats all over the country. And it is one of the things that is expected that the president will address as to what has been done, what is yet to be done as far as the security of the interior is concerned. And so it is something that I'm hoping and anticipating that the president will give clear indications as to where we are, what is being done, and the results that should be expected in the year 2018 as far as security is concerned. One of the issues that is also of concern to me has to do with housing. Everybody knows that, and it is tried knowledge in Ghana, that when it comes to the issue about housing, there is a housing deficit. We know that as at 2016, the housing deficit was about 1.7 million. Now, people, I am sure, want to know from the president what is the state of our housing situation as a country and what is there to be done going forward as far as his administration is concerned to deal with the housing deficits that we have as a country. So security, housing, and of course the economics, which is something that has been dealt with in the budget already. I'm anticipating that the president will reiterate most of the projections that have been earmarked in the budget to take place this year, the year 2018. Pessoa.
Indeed, Wilbur. So, I mean, very high expectations in the studio as well. We've been engaging some viewers on phone, you know, on social media who've been sharing their own expectations. So, we all are looking forward to this address. But are we, or do we know, if you like, what time the president is likely to be in Parliament?
Well, so the timelines that we have been given is that the president is expected to arrive here a little before 10:30. He will go through the formalities, which is the inspection of the guard that will be mounted in his honor, and then also adhering to the national anthem here outside the parliament premises where the presidential days has been mounted. After that, the president will be ushered into the Parliament House by the leadership of Parliament. And the normal process is with the president to be received, and then after that he will be ushered into the chamber. The speaker would acknowledge his presence and then will invite him accordingly to deliver the State of the Nation address. After that, it is expected that the president will go and sign the parliamentary book, and then the process will come to an end. Beswa.
All right, Wilberforce, we definitely will get back to you for more updates. And see if you can spot members of the minority and what they're wearing, okay? And see if you can as well give us an idea of some of those terms that they are likely to be using in Parliament today after that address from the president. Well, so Wilberforce, sorry.
So
yeah.
if...
Go ahead, Wilberforce. You're still there.
Okay, so if you can hear me, I'm not only going to look at the clothing line of the minority, but I'm also anticipating that they will come with some placards and
of course
some interesting thing to show in Parliament. We are all looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so thank you once again. We'll get back to you soon for more updates from Parliament. That was my colleague Wilberforce Asari, presidential correspondent EIB Group, and he's on the beat himself. Other reporters as well are going to be trooping into Parliament House to get us all the details up to the minute as the president addresses the nation today. In the studio, though, I'm joined by an energy expert, Mr. Kwame Jantua, and then a deputy minister, Youth and Sports, the Honourable Enam Hajide. You're welcome to the show, gentlemen. And good to see you. It's a member of the CPP. A member of the CPP, huh? All right, good to know.
And a member of the MPP.
Okay, you had to add that too. All right, so I think I haven't seen you the whole year 2018, so Happy New Year.
Happy New
to
Year
both of you.
To you
Okay.
too. You're looking good.
Thank you.
You lost some weight.
I have, yes, and I'm still loving it.
Good.
I'll lose a bit more.
Let's try and keep it, all of us. I say I'm pregnant.
Okay, when you birth, we'll let everyone know. All right, so it is all about the state of the nation, and as usual, we know this is grounded in Constitution, and we every year the president is expected to share with us, exactly, what the state of our nation is, and then tell us as well what he hopes, to do for us to better our lot. So across sectors, we hope that they all will be captured. You've heard quite a number of people speak as well of their own expectations. Before we begin the conversation proper, I would like to hear from you. Let me start with you, Kwame. Your own expectations as we get ready to listen to this address.
Thank you, Beswa. Good morning to our viewers. Good morning, Honorable. For me, it's not only one area that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the whole economy as one.
Right.
Because the president's duty and responsibility is to take care of the whole economy of the whole country. I would like, if possible, that he doesn't follow the kind of steps other presidents have followed when they give State of the Nation address.
Which is?
I do not expect him to come and rattle out what they've done. I expect him to take a three-tier process. The first process being, this is what we came to meet in Sector A, Sector B, Sector C, Sector D. This is what we have done. This is what we haven't been able to do. And then the third tier, this is what we expect to do going forward. Now, with all that, the most important facet of everything is to be able to show verifiable projects, things that we can verify. He should be able to direct us to those areas we can get the information that it's being done. Just a few days ago, I heard the Minister of Agriculture tout some huge figures, which some media houses have gone into it and found challenges with them. I don't want a president to come, say certain things, and when it's verified, it shows that the president didn't tell us he was economic with the truth. That's what I'm looking for. Even if you haven't achieved it, you still have 3 years too. And so, for me, the viability of the work that has been done comes first. Yes, security is key. I expect him to address the vigilantism problems we have that sometimes stem from his own party. The police, I expect him to tell us some of the things that he expects the police to do, especially the IGP and his responsibilities. Because really, without good security, forget it, we don't have a nation. It's key. I expect him to give us an indication of what the Minister of Agriculture said in terms of food security. Because once you take security out, you look at food. We all have to eat. We cannot be importing onions and tomatoes from all over West Africa into Ghana where we can grow it here. What is the state of that? What is the state of our post-harvest? The minister was saying that we have huge quantum of maize. Are we being able to store it? These are some of the things I'd like to see. I'd like to hear, yes, the MPP tout. They tout free SHS. We've implemented free SHS. I want to hear the sustainability of it going forward. As we see, food, school feeding program. Where is it today? When it came into being, it was touted as a fantastic thing that we've done all over Africa. And even some African countries came here to learn what we've done. But where is it today? So for me, all the projects that he has come up with, the one district, one factory, all these type of things. The sustainability of it is what is key to me. There's no need implementing it, and 4 years down the road, we see nothing. So these are some of the areas I would want him to look at.
So, I mean, I think that in 2017, he was able to tell us that, look, this is what I came to meet. In 2018, it's more of him accounting for his stewardship for the past 1 year.
How many people remember what he said there? So, if for nothing at all, refer us. In showing that what you've done to arrest certain situations, refer us.
Indeed, exactly my point.
Yes, refer us. It's key. Because some of our presidents, when they come, they just rattle what they've done. And you sit and you wonder, but if you've rattled, what did you come and meet? What did you come and meet? How much money have you used to do X, Y, Z? Account to us. Be open, transparent, and accountable. That is all we are looking for. Even if you haven't achieved, and we see that you are trying to get the country to a certain platform, for some of us it's fine. It's not everything a president comes into power and wants to do, they can achieve. But at least achieve 70% of it by the time you finish your tenure.
Mr. Ajide, so what is the president's address likely to be heavy on?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning to you, our cherished viewers, my senior colleague, Mr. Gentwa.
Good morning.
Viewers, particularly those of my constituencies in the Soja Mine in the Eastern region and Ketu North in the Volta region. Mr. Gentwa is largely right when he sets out the presentation in the manner that he has set it out. One prayer that I offer this morning is that you spoke about dress codes and placards. I'm hoping that we move away from such tendencies and practices that have the tendency to dilute on an otherwise important.
But you know we can never overlook some of these things you know.
But so I agree with you. It is a possibility.
There are side issues, yes. But
I'm saying that it's not a major concern. But I'm saying that gradually, as a people, we should be seen to be moving away from such trivialities that may dilute an otherwise important occasion, such as the presentation of the State of the Nation.
It's interesting.
One doesn't need to go.
It's interesting when you have done that, like time without
it doesn't matter.
Think that today it is a trivial issue.
I'm saying that I'm not, and I speak now not as a member of the party MPP. I speak as a concerned Ghanaian who is interested in making progress. So whether it was done in the past or not is not the issue. We must seek to move forward, and it doesn't matter what dress you wear. That's not what is the matter under consideration. The matter under consideration are such issues as Mr. Janto have touched on. So those are the critical issues, and I want us to focus our attention on those. And let's not set such agenda, because once we begin talking about it, that is what people will begin to look for instead of.
It is not always, you know, for the negatives. I mean, we've seen congressional, members elsewhere do same just to put some information across. So I think that I would want to probably, let's just hold it on right there and speak to the real issues for me. Like I asked, I mean, what are those areas that you think the president will be like heavy on?
Well, I think that this is his second State of the Nation. The first, like your reporter rightly said, was presented a few months or days or weeks after he was elected. And so now may be his first opportunity to give a reportage on his stewardship, his leadership of this country. And I am convinced without that the restoration agenda is work in progress. And so I will expect that, like has been said, the president sets a context of what situation that he inherited, because this is this first true report, and whether we will judge him as being on the right track or not, we have to interpret whatever he says in a certain context. That is the inheritance that he got. That is what he was left with. And so for me, a certain historical trend analysis would be important. Again, I will expect His Excellency to report to Parliament and to the people of Ghana, for instance, that he has attempted to restore the economy, and the indicators are all pointing in the right direction. I would expect that the President reports that the National Health Insurance Scheme that was failing at a point, today a new breath of life has been given to that scheme. Again, I think he should report that Dumso, that was a major mitigating factor against our national development, a major challenge that was inherited, has been resolved. And I say this because I have been quite clear in my mind that the Dumso was not necessarily a question of capacity, infrastructural capacity. It was more of our financial capacity at the time. And so
to fuel all of those plants.
Yeah, but the plants have to be fueled, and you need money to do those ones.
Right.
And today we are no longer faced with Dumso, at least not. They're isolated.
At least the foundation was laid.
Yes.
You had the
And
capacity,
so
and now you've
the CD
built on
is
it.
relatively
So yes.
more stable.
Okay.
I think that the President should be proud to report that. Like I said, all the economic, and I can take it one by one and go through it.
But before you take us, let me just go over to Kumasi. There's somebody standing by, one of my colleagues from Ultimate FM. Eno Safo. Eno, you're live on GH today. If you can hear me, good morning. And it's good to reconnect. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Eno, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Right, so you're live. How's the circum this morning? And what are expectations?
Right, Kumasi this morning. Yes, Kumasi this morning is geared up for Nanado's speech today. People are really ready to hear what Nanado will have to say about the state of the country. Now, sampling a few views so far, people are very concerned about the security of Kumasi. Recently, at Chumakwauma last night, some of the youth rose against the changing of the district capital to from Fwasi to Chedie, and it's been an issue which we will address later on. I have a couple of residents here who I'll be speaking to find out what they expect from Nanado today. I have Reverend here, and Reverend is going to tell me what you expect from Nanado today. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Bismarck, good morning.
Good morning.
So tell me, what do you expect from Nanado today? What do you expect to hear?
Yeah, I want him to talk more about the security of our nation and unemployment, because when the two is linked together, when there is insecurity, it's very difficult for the nation to develop. And when there's the rate of unemployment too is very high. So if he's able to create more employment for the people and they tackle that unemployment situation, I believe the insecurity will just come down. So I expect him to talk more on, or deal more on, the security and the unemployment rates we are experiencing. Like what we heard from Fwasi and Nkari about the confusion and the chaos that is going on about the district capital is part of some of the things that retard development of the nation. So I want him to talk more on unemployment and the insecurity.
Okay, so you heard Reverend talk about the issues to do with security in the country. I have Bismarck here. He's also going to tell us what he expects from Nanado's speech today. What do you expect from Nanado?
I expect the president to speak more about the economic aspect of the nation. The rate at which the hiking of prices is this, I don't expect the country to be and to go as such. So I expect the president to manage the economic aspect of the country, and moreover, the rate at which unemployment aspect is raising in the country, it is quite uncalled for. We don't expect the president to manage the country as such. And the insecurity aspect, as my reverend said, I expect the president to manage the security aspect of the nation, which will bring peace and then harmony in the country. That is what I expect the president to speak about.
Right, so you had a cross-section of Ghanaians, security very high on the list, as well as employment. They feel that if more employment is created in the country, then these security issues that are rising up will at least come down or be prevented.
All right, I guess we'll leave it here for now. We'll come back to you for some more updates from Kumasi ahead of the president's address. Okay, so thank you. That was my colleague in Osafo in Kumasi, engaging, concerned citizens ahead of the president's State of the Nation address. And just before we went to Kumasi, the Honorable Hajide was making a point. Please continue.
Yes. So I was also suggesting that I think that it will be important for the president to report that, for instance, he has reduced a lot of taxes, and that has great implications on the lives of the ordinary Ghanaian. I think that it is important that we put on record that under his watch, in his first year, the economy grew at some 7.9%, almost 8%, whilst in fact he inherited an economy that was growing at 3.6%. I think he also needs to report the debt to GDP ratios that have decreased from some about 73% to about 60-something percent. I think that he needs to report on increased international reserves and the payment of almost half of all of the arrears that he had inherited from the previous NDC administration, and also report that he is current on almost all of our obligations, constitutional, statutory obligations, such as the health insurance, GET fund, District Assembly's common fund, and so on and so forth. He also should find space to report on the free SHS, a project that is being hailed across the world. He has doubled capitation grants, for instance. Fiscal deficit has reduced from some 9.3% to about some 5.6%, and so on and so forth. I think that he should need to lay that contextual framework, the background, and let Ghanaians understand that, yes, he made promises, but he made promises for a 4-year first term, and that he was, even in his first year, setting the foundations for an accelerated work going forward. And like I said, he also needs to let people understand that the restoration agenda is on course. It is not an event,
Right.
It is a process, but that this process is on course. A lot of the preparatory works that needs to be done has been done. I also expect, and true to his nature, I expect that the president will be truthful and candid. He has had cause to complain about what Mr. Jantua spoke about. I believe even in his first State of the Nation, this so-called vigilantism, I don't see it as such. I see isolated cases of criminal action, and the president has instructed that such aberrations of the law must be dealt with the full force of the law. And because vigilantism, otherwise my understanding is would have been a positive concept, but what we are seeing is these are criminal cases,
and I agree.
They may be isolated, but the president has spoken to these matters before. You recall not too long ago he has had to suspend a minister because of what he believes may not be what one ought to have done at the time. So what again we must also report on is the bold and decisive decisions that the president is taking in reaction to these actions that I agree.
Of course, so it's a whole lot of issues, and like we have said, obviously the various sectors are all going to be captured, and top on the list, having listened to viewers, seem to be security and unemployment, and of course we are likely to hear him as well tell us the number of jobs that he's been able to create in his first year, which a lot of people.
I would not.
The issue of unemployment is big.
Yes.
So yes, and we've heard, for instance, the agricultural sector put a few figures out there.
Yes.
We'd want to know exactly what the true figures are on the ground,
like,
and exactly.
I do. If I may.
Yes, please go ahead.
I do agree with Honorable Jantua when he said that some media institutions are taking issue with what the Honorable Minister for Agriculture may have said. And the Honorable Minister for Agriculture may not necessarily have been wrong. But you see, we have not formalized and structured our economy in such a manner that such quotations or such figures are easily verifiable. And that is why I commend this government for the attempt at formalizing our economy and structuring it in such a manner. Look, even our addresses and so on are things that in the 21st century, it is now that we are dealing with those things. I would not advise that the president deals with specific figures at this point, not because the figures may not exist, but that the structures or the processes to verify those may not be readily available. And it could just become political football, or they are not there, they are there, and how we got those numbers, we will come and debate it, and somebody would think that that is not a good way to estimate those numbers and all that. Well, I think that generally, if the president points us in the direction that these are the things that I'm doing, and they have clear capacity to deliver the jobs, for me, at this point, the first year in his office, when he's trying to still formalize the economy, I will be comfortable with that. I do not necessarily expect that the president will go and talk about a certain X amount of jobs that may have been created.
I think your point has been made. So the president will touch on all of these successes, if you like, but as well, let's not forget that there are some promises that were supposed to have taken off last year as well, which did not happen. For instance, the one district, one factory, and these are areas that we would expect as well the president to tell us exactly the situation and when we're likely to see it's all take off fully. But Uncle Kwame, I think as well the president's address is coming at a time where we're seeing protests against high fuel prices. This is a situation where going into the 2016 election, this government's in opposition promised to address.
Before I come to that, I'd like to take issue with one or two things Honorable indicated. The basis and method that, and I only use an example of the Minister of Agriculture, the basis and method as to where the minister got the figures from is the same basis and method we can use to verify. So it's not a question of structure. It's a question of, this is what you said, let's go and see whether what you said is there. For me, the most important thing is the style of communication the president is going to use to deliver a state of the nation. And why do I say that? Honorable was talking about NHIS, that being able to solve NHIS. But there are private hospitals in this country today who haven't received their due remuneration for NHIS and are threatening that they might face closure. So in his delivery, he should deliver it in such a way that the truth comes out. He is the president of Ghana. He is not the president of the MPP. So for me, the partisanship in the way he delivers should not be seen to be done.
Like we saw with the former president.
Like we even, we see with, yes, and MPP, we've done this, MPP, no, you are the president of the country. Both NDC, CPP, MPP, PNC, and the country as a whole are listening to you and are expecting you to do what you said you would do. Now,
well, that's why it's the state of the nation.
We come back to Parliament.
Right.
And we know what is brewing in Parliament since 2 days ago.
But before we go there, could you address the issue of the oil situation, the fuel prices?
Yes, I want to get this
out.
Okay,
so kind of rebutting.
Yes,
okay,
yes, I want to get this out of the way.
Yes, get that out of the way.
We realize what has happened in Parliament the last 2 days, where the opposition has been silent protests. They haven't been saying anything. They're not talking because of the cash for seats scandal.
Well, now they are threatening a Luta.
So-called scandal. I heard Honorable Aveji yesterday saying he's a leader. They would, receive the president, okay, but he cannot trust what his people will do. Come on. Ghana comes first in everything we do. And a House of Parliament is a house where it's an important part of the rule of law in this country. And so, for me, I've never been in agreement with when the MPP were in opposition, placards, wearing black, calling all sorts of names. That is not what you do in the house, in the chamber. You can do it outside, but not in the chamber. And I expect both opposition and the party in power to behave honorably if they deserve that name, honorable. Let us see them behave honorably in Parliament. Unemployment. You see, as he rightly said, the Honorable rightly said, the President has been given a 4-year mandate. Ghanaians shouldn't expect that in 1 year he'll be able to solve the unemployment problem. Rather, he should show the signs that we are going to solve it, and we have put certain structures in place that would enable us solve the unemployment problem.
I guess it's become a big deal because going into election 2016, it was almost as if the NPP was voted into power, everybody that didn't have a job was going to get a job.
Yes, but Beswa, you can't do it in 1 year. You can't do it in 1 year.
So probably the way it was communicated,
yes,
how politicians have told us that sometimes they get carried away.
Yes, but
on the
you
platforms.
cannot get carried away with such important issues. You cannot. You see, for me, every step of the way, be open and be sincere. If you haven't been able to do it, tell the people that we have faced certain challenges, so we haven't been able to do X, Y. However, we are working on them. Ghanaians would understand. They are humans like you and I. Humans like you and I.
Sure.
On the taxes bit that we're talking about, yes, taxes have come down. But those taxes that have come down, is it felt in the pocket of the Ghanaian? That brings me to your question on fuel prices. If you allow me. Whilst we were waiting, I was looking through some research. Prices from 30th October 2017 all through to 8th January 2018 was between 4.28 and 4.32. 2017 October 30th to 2018 January 8th. It started shooting up from January 22nd to date, and it shot up to around 4.52 and 4.53. It's gone up. Now, I can attribute the low 420s to the oil price. The oil price is a huge indicator of petroleum prices. And so we were not feeling the pinch that much with the taxes that were in there. Now, oil prices are beginning to rise, and we are now feeling the pinch. I heard you this morning saying that you're feeling the pinch buying petrol and putting in your car. So what do we do? I think, you see, it comes back to transparency and accountability. With a situation like this, that we've had this kind of massive demonstration, I expect the MPA, the Minister of Energy, Petroleum, anybody, any governing power that is looks at these things to bring out all the taxes that we have.
The NPA, in fact, this morning in the Chronicle newspaper is telling us that it is not true that petroleum prices have gone up.
Haven't I just shown you?
Of course.
Haven't I just shown you? So, and it is the tax element. Petroleum prices worldwide, without taxes, is a certain figure. It only goes up, and I also saw the different rates throughout the world where countries are concerned. It's based on the additional taxes that is put on. So, and if those taxes are biting, we should try and do something about it.
So, for instance, the minority in support of yesterday's demonstration says scrap special petroleum tax.
What are they talking about? When they in power? Were they not in power? Most of these taxes that came in, wasn't it their era that it came in?
Well, former VRA boss Reku Brobe as well has been saying same.
Yes, he's been saying same. At the time, are you saying that this is the first demonstration?
Definitely not.
Exactly.
Definitely not.
The opposition, when they were in power, could have done something about it.
So I asked the question because you're suggesting that indeed, if we could do something about,
we should.
Yes, then we should.
Now, Beswa, you see, this is where we need visionary leadership. Why do I say that? So we've gone through this cycle over and over and over and over again. It is high time. We are an oil producing country. It is high time we look at producing refined petroleum products for ourselves. And if we're going to do that, we now have to look at our toll. And I blame previous governments for getting toll in the state it is today. It shouldn't be so, because right now a certain percentage of our oil reserves should be taken to toll for Ghanaians to benefit from it. It's not only the money context we should benefit, the product itself. If it can help us, let's use it to help us. The question now comes with that particular issue is, so we have sweet crude, which every refinery in the world wants. Demand is high.
Right.
Do we export the sweet crude instead of refining a certain percentage? Or do we export the sweet crude and buy heavy crude back? It's all money, isn't it? But if the crude is ours, it's from our fields, and government is there to take care of it for every Ghanaian, and it can help us probably drop fuel prices for us, wouldn't it be good? Because the moment fuel prices goes up, a lot of things go up. A lot of things in the economy goes up. Is it better for us? It's not. That's why I think we need to look at this thing again in terms of how we add value and try and bring these prices down. I would be very happy if going forward we don't have these skirmishes anymore. Yes, at the time MPA were setting the prices, we decided that no, it's not a good thing because it was causing some challenges for us. So we deregulated. In deregulation, we are still facing excess prices. Now, these excess prices have got to do with taxes. I think government should look at those taxes clearly so that at least it can help bring fuel prices down a bit for Ghanaians to have a bit of leeway. Very important.
Okay. Mr. Ajide, I saw you jotting down a number of things.
Well,
we're wrapping up shortly, though, but just before you come in, just to remind us that in a couple of minutes we'll be wrapping up, on the segments, but of course more conversations around the SONA. The president is set to be in Parliament, we're told, around 10 a.m. thereabout, and he is expected to tell us the state of Ghana today and look into the future, and it's all for growth and development. Honorable Ajide, what is tickling you this morning?
I noticed, and you're right, that I've written down a few things. I doubt if you would allow me to speak about
Please
the
go
things
ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
I write, and so on and so forth. But you said that the impression was created that during the campaign, as though if the NPP came, the issue of unemployment was going to be resolved and everybody was going to get a job. I do not
on
recall
various
that any,
on various campaign platforms.
and
We heard you might not
and
have said that,
and
but
you smartly said
that was
the impression was created.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
impressions are not created; they're actually gotten. Because I don't know if you get that impression, if that's your understanding, you don't now put it on me and say, because I didn't say that. You may have understood it that way, but I think
maybe
that,
the way
I
you
think
put
that,
it out.
I think that it is unfair characterization if you say that that impression was created, because nobody, no voter would even have taken any politician seriously if the politician had promised that in my first year in power, I was going to resolve the problem of unemployment and everybody was going to get a job. I do not expect that any voter would believe that. And
look at what happened when we found oil. Look at the high expectations.
And I have high regards for the intelligence of the Ghanaian voter. And so I am clear in my mind that in voting for the politician, the voters know exactly what is doable and what is not doable. At the worst, never mind what the politician says, but I can report to you that for us in the NPP, there has not been any occasion that anybody would have suggested that the massive problem of unemployment would all have been resolved within 1 year. Of course, we did promise that we were going to attempt, and we are committed to resolving the challenge of unemployment. But all across the world, unemployment, resolving the problem of unemployment is not something that is terminal. You cannot terminate it at a point. It's a continuum. You have to go on every day, every year, every month, creating new jobs. When new people are getting jobs, new people are coming onto the scene that needs job. It's a cycle that can never come to an end. And so I am quite clear that the processes have all been laid out. Jobs are going out to people. More companies are coming. Lots of companies closed down when Doomsaw was here. Now, if there is no Doomsaw, the companies would relocate back. Companies would open and they would employ people. And those are the things that managers of the economy have to focus on. The capacity of the state itself to employ people is limited. How much, if the government, I'm told, employs even less than 1 million people, how many Ghanaians are willing and able to work? In their tens of millions. So it is important that we focus on the creation of the environment that is conducive to employment. That's number one. On the fuel increases, I'm not too sure if that was a massive demonstration yesterday. But even if it was a one-man demonstration, it was important.
Demonstration is a demonstration.
That's right. But the word has been used massive.
Well,
and so
that is the way some of us saw it.
Well, that's the point. I didn't see it as massive. I can also be entitled to my opinion.
Because you counted about 40 people.
Yes. And I'm saying that even if it was just one man, it ought to be taken seriously.
Sure.
But the fact that a lot of people also do not identify with an issue should also be pointed out. That yes, there may be problems, but the ordinary Ghanaian also admits that this is a government that inherited major challenges, and that the international crude market is not the market that you and I control here from this country. At a certain point, the crude was $30 per barrel. Now it is inching towards $70 and over dollars per barrel. That was definitely going to increase fuel prices. In fact, I have read reports from the NPA that suggest that some of the taxes that are on fuel, government has sacrificed with a view to stabilizing the price. Mr. Gento, is that correct information?
There's a point there.
Yes. So government is doing its bit.
But still,
I agree. But you see, government.
No,
okay.
I'm not cutting you.
It's fine.
No.
It's fine. It's fine. I agree with you. It's fine. We have to go. It's time. It's okay. I understand.
Can you wrap up for me so we can? No, just wrap up for me. I was just giving you a signal that you should be wrapping up.
Well, in wrapping up, I want to wish the people of Ghana well. It's going to be an interesting year ahead of us. The president would point us in the right directions this morning, and we continue to ask for the prayers and support of the people of Ghana. This is your government. It's important that you come behind it. It's important that you support it. It's important that you continue to pray for us. We are in the Ghana boat together. And so nobody should be sitting outside of the boat and wishing for it to sink, like we have seen in the last few days in Parliament. And so we must all come behind the Ghana project and make sure that it succeeds.
All right, well, so Enam Majide, Deputy Youth and Sports Minister, and Kwame Jantua, energy experts. More on the sauna in upcoming conversations. Don't go away.
When I'm down and I need something to cheer me out, well, it's an exclusive drink.